This is a solution video for the truth table worksheet. Now, only watch this if you've already completed the truth table worksheet and you're just checking your answers. And you can see in the first video, I did most of it for you, all right? And I can't remember if I did these last two, but the last three of them are the ones that are the most challenging. So I want to go over those again and especially talk to you about this short circuiting. It makes it a lot easier so you don't have to go through and do every single line and plug in all the values. But anyway, check your answers with mine and I'll go through these real quick. This first part right here is that it's telling me that I have a situation where it's A or B and C. All right, and remember we have that thing with short circuiting, that if something is true or anything, remember that the and is always calculated first and the or is calculated second. So basically the last thing you're going to do is you'll be saying whether it's true or if it's false or. If it's true or, it makes the entire expression true. So I can do half of these right here quickly simply by going through and calculating that if A is true, it doesn't matter what B and C are. So A is true in the first one, A is true in the second one, A is true in the third one, and A is true in the fourth one. All right, so really simple, quick way to go through true and false. Like I said, if you have an or either at the beginning or at the end, it doesn't matter. The true or anything is true. Well, now the rest of these, A is false. And so I can't use that. So now I'm looking at this part of the equation right here. And the expression says B and C. All right, and I know that the shortcut for and is that if one of them is false, the whole thing is false. Now remember, on all of the last four, A is false. So false or, well, it doesn't matter over here. We're just looking to see if it's ever true. So if there's something here that makes it true, well, the only time that this would be true is if B is true and C is true. All right, and the only time that expression happens is in the fifth one. So in the fifth one, it is also true, all right? But all the rest of them are false because we have, if C is false, that makes that B and false, all right? Or if B is false, it's false or whatever C is, all right? Doesn't matter, so all the rest of these are false. And there you go. Oops, spell it right. Okay, there you go. There's the situation. Now, the only difference in this is that we put parentheses around the or statement. So now it is the parentheses are going to happen first. It's the and that's going to happen last. All right, so I want that short circuiting again. I'm looking for, can I short circuit this? Because I can get half of the answers if I do that. So with and C, it doesn't matter what A and B are. If C is false, the whole expression will be false. So now I can make this second one is false, the fourth one is false, the sixth one is false, and the last one are false. Because anytime C is false, they're all false. Now I look back at the other side of it, and I know that with an and expression, that both sides have to be true. And I know that C is true in all of them because I've already canceled out the falses. So what makes A or B false? All right, remember with or, either one of them can be true, makes it true. So only when A and B are false will this expression here be false. So I'll just look for where A and B, well, A is true in all of these, all right? So then I look here and I see that only when A and B, so there's only false in one other situation, and in that situation I have A and B are false on the second to last one. That means that all the rest of them have to be true, okay? And we'll test why in just a second. Okay, so these are all true. All right, let's look at that first one. We have an A or. Well, A is true, and so true or anything makes it true, and C is true. Okay, we have A once again is true, C is true, that makes it true. Here I have A is false, but B is true, and because B is true and C, that makes that true. So now you can see how I came up with those answers. All right, and finally now we have the last one. This one's a little bit intimidating. Okay, because you can see on here we have a lot of not signs, we have a lot of parentheses and everything. But let's just look at it and break it down into the different portions of the problem and look for what are the different short-circuiting options. All right, and so what I'm going to do is I notice that out here at the very end I have an or, not be. All right, so anytime I see an or at the end, either the beginning or the end, that's the short-circuiting. So really it doesn't matter about A and C, it only matters about B. And what makes that expression not be true? If it is false. If B is false, that makes it or not false or true. So I look for every place where B is false, and I know that that will make it true. So these first two here, the first two times that B is false, and then the last two times that B is false. So I know that, there we go. Okay, it is all true. It doesn't matter what A and C because I have an or. This will be done last. All right, now I have this other side of the section, which is kind of long. And so to answer the other four, I have to break this down. So I'm going to look at just the inside of the parenthesis, which is this part right here. And I notice that I have an A and some expression. All right, and so if I have an A and, if A is ever false, it's going to make everything inside the parentheses false. And if everything inside the parentheses are false, and it is not false because you see that little exclamation there, so not false is true. So if A is false, that means this expression will be true. And because we have an or here, it's true or anything. So I'll just go down here and I know that this one is true, and I know that this one is true. Once again, because A is false, and false and anything is going to be false, but not false makes it true. All right, so I'm really left with just the last two, and in these situations I can kind of just plug them in, but you notice that the only thing different in the first two lines is C, and I see that in one of them C is true and the other one C is false. So let's just plug in the value of C with the true expressions from A and B, and let's just see where they are. Usually when you get down to the end, you can just plug in the one difference that you have. So here I know that C, A, B, and C are all true. So let's plug it in and see what we have. We have a true and. All right, so now what makes this true inside here? All right, and so I look inside the parentheses and I have a C or. So C or is true. So true and not true. Okay, so now I have a true and a false because it's not true. So that makes the inside of the parentheses false, but we have that one last exclamation out there. So that makes it true. Okay, it was false on the inside of the parentheses, but the not sign switched it around. And then I have a true or, so it doesn't matter what not be is. Now let's plug in false and see what happens when we do false. Now I have false or and then not be. So not true or false is false or false. Okay, obviously everything inside this parenthesis is false. Now I have an exclamation point on the outside, so it's not false, which makes it true. And A is true, so true and true make the inside of this second set of parentheses true, but it is not true because of that not sign there. So the full expression in this case is false. Okay, so kind of complicated when you get to that. Just as long as you understand the concepts of Boolean values, true and false, you understand the and where they both have to be true in order for it to be true, or the or where either side can be true, and the application of the not sign. The not sign reverses the value, making it not true, which is false, or not false, which is true. All right, so once you've checked your worksheet, you can go ahead and submit it, and we'll practice this more as the semester goes on. But it's really important you understand this from Lesson 8, because in Lesson 9 we're going to start doing Boolean expressions, which the value is true or the value is false.